The Ayr Bank was a who's who of the Scottish Enlightenment, boasting 136 original partners, including the Dukes of Queensberry and Buccleuch. Their involvement gave the bank an air of absolute stability. The public believed it was too big to fail because it was backed by the vast landholdings of the aristocracy. However, there was a fatal flaw. While the board was filled with eminent men, there was not a single experienced banker amongst them. The day-to-day management was left to enterprising individuals who treated the bank's coffers like a personal credit line for their own speculative businesses. This disconnect between prestige and expertise created a dangerous blind spot, as a modern former Chancellor, Alistair Darling, observed during a later financial crisis. There is much talk about whether institutions are too big to fail, or even too big to save, but there is another category too big to know what's going on. This was precisely the fate of Douglas, Heron and Company. The directors were generalists, trying to do the work of specialists, operating in total ignorance of the principles of banking. Because the bank had branches in Ayr, Edinburgh and Dumfries that did not communicate, a merchant could be drawing in one branch and redrawing in another without the head office ever realising the loop. At the centre of this administrative chaos stood a man whose name is now synonymous with rebellion. John Christian was the bank's cashier, and it was his signature that authorised the flood of paper currency that would eventually drown the region. John was the older brother of Fletcher Christian, the man who would later lead the infamous Mutiny on the Bounty. While Fletcher would rebel against the naval authority of the Crown, John was at the heart of a financial mutiny. He presided over an experimental business model that issued vast amounts of paper banknotes without sufficient gold reserves, essentially trying to print the bank into prosperity. The directors, including lead partners like Patrick Heron and Archibald Douglas, operated with a recklessness that amounted to criminal negligence. They ignored traditional banking safeguards, granting easy credit to their friends to stimulate agriculture and industry without rigorous collateral checks. They were fooled by volume over value, assuming the economy was booming when they were merely seeing the same money moving back and forth, growing like a snowball. By the time the directors realised their error in May 1772, it was too late. The good old boy network of the Scottish gentry had created a house of cards that was too big to manage and too blind to save itself. In the end, with debts of £650,000, or the equivalent of nearly £2 million in today's money, the bank failed catastrophically.